Want to welcome in Robbie Weinstein of 247 Sports. And Tommy, Clay, and all our Morning Rush listeners, Robbie has been a friend of mine for the last 5 years or so. We met in the Music City, and he started covering. He went to school. Vanderbilt started covering Commodores for 247 Sports. So not only is he can give you a little background knowledge on me, but he can definitely do that with the Commodores. So, Robbie, we'll start with kind of just Vandy. Give our audience a broad perspective of what this basketball team is in 2021.
Yeah, well, I was going to say thanks for having me, Ty, but I think you should be thanking me for hosting you at my home, right?
That's a good point. Very much so.
What a high maintenance house guest, right?
He's just a high maintenance individual to begin with,
all around.
Yeah, Vanderbilt. So obviously they were the worst team in the SEC last year and the year before that, right? Which, being based in Nashville, I think, and actually having a decent fan base for basketball, I don't think that should, that shouldn't generally be the case for them. But it seems like this season they were going to be significantly improved. It hasn't really panned out so far. They were like really, really thin depth-wise last season. Aaron Nesmith, who was the best player on the team and one of the best players in the SEC, probably first-round pick, lottery pick for the Boston Celtics. He got hurt or had a stress fracture that knocked him out after the first SEC game last season against Auburn, and so they just didn't really. They had guys hurt and guys left when Bryce Drew got fired, so they didn't have a lot of players. And this season they have all 13 scholarship players, at least entering the season, who were healthy and available. But a lot of those guys are young, and some of them have underachieved. And they also, they had a big break due to COVID, like in late November, early December. Like went 2 weeks or so without playing a game, and that kind of hurt them, I think. But no doubt they've underachieved. Obviously, haven't won an SEC game yet. A pretty good offensive team, or at least a decent offensive team, but they have not figured things out on the defensive end, which I'm sure Arkansas is going to try to take advantage of with their fast-paced offense and all that.
Tommy, Clay, I remember being at the SEC tournament last year and walking in the hallways, and in walks six-time NBA champion Scottie Pippen, whose son is on the team. How cool was that you get to cover one of the greatest players in NBA history, his son, who's quite a ball player himself?
Yeah, the last home game I was at, I can't remember if that was I think the Mississippi State game, Scottie Pippen Sr. was there in the stands, and so no fans are allowed at Memorial Gym right now, just a few family members or whatever. And you could kind of look down from the press box and see him sitting there. He's like twice as big as everybody else, sitting in the stands, right? So it's pretty cool. I mean, I used to work part-time for the Chicago Bulls when I was in grad school, and I would occasionally see Scottie around the United Center, so it's kind of weird to now see him in dad mode. But his son is a really good player, maybe a first-team All-SEC player, definitely second-team if not. And he's a lot better this season than I expected. I thought he was going to be like the third-best player on the team, something like that. He had a solid freshman season, but didn't show necessarily a ton of explosiveness and athleticism, which is kind of ironic because we remember his dad was one of the most athletic players in basketball. But Scottie Jr. is really skilled, great scorer, really crafty, draws a lot of fouls, and he has just taken a huge leap this year. So it's pretty surprising, considering how good he has been, that Vanderbilt has not taken a significant step forward so far, because he has really surpassed all expectations this season.
Yeah. When you look at Vanderbilt, basketball is such a game of rhythm. Your schedule's a rhythm. The game itself is, you're in your shooting rhythms. You just think about all the just trying to get comfortable in your environment. Well, you look at Vanderbilt, they've played, then they've not played, then they've not played. You're so used to playing Tuesday or Wednesday and Saturday. In Turin, you play Tuesday or Wednesday and Saturday. Yeah. When you have those breaks, how have you seen it affect this team and their inability to get over the hump of the SEC so far, just by not being in that playing rhythm?
Yeah, I think it's been very significant. I don't think Vanderbilt played a good game or even a decent game until at Kentucky in the second SEC game of the season, I think it was. And for sure, I mean, they had, I believe, multiple players who had COVID in late November, early December, and they had a lot of newcomers to this team, and so offensively you could see not only in the first game, but then when they got back from that break, it just looked terrible. I mean, it was really sloppy. There was no chemistry. And, the guy who I expected to be the best player coming this year, DJ Harvey, who's a transfer for Notre Dame, scored like 12 points per game at Notre Dame his last season there and was a 4-star recruit, top 50 recruit. He had COVID, and he already was kind of on the heavy side anyway. He's like 6'6", 235 pounds. And when you're quarantined or sick or whatever for 2 weeks, you can get out of shape real quickly. And so he has not looked good this season. I guess he's played a little bit better as the season has gone on, but when one of your key players just can't get into, basically good conditioning because he's been quarantined and then he's set back so far and loses confidence, I think that really hurts. And then, of course, like building chemistry on offense and trust in your teammates and all that, I think that was the most significant thing. They have definitely improved offensively, but for a while there, it was pretty rough.
Are you like me and Ty? Did you have Alabama picked to be off to such a great start in the SEC? Because that's exactly how we thought the league would be stacking up at this point.
I was a little bit different from others. I did not think Tennessee was going to be the best team. I thought Kentucky was. That's looking great, right? That was a disastrous pick. I also liked LSU. I did not particularly, I thought Alabama maybe like 4th place, 5th place, but geez, they have been just completely on fire. I mean, they're looking like, top 10 team right now for sure. They have surprised me definitely, and I don't know. I'm a little surprised. What's Arkansas right now? 3 and 4, 3 and 5 in SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have thought I had the Hogs probably like 5th or something like that coming into the season. So I mean, they've got a long way to go, but they've been a little bit disappointing, at least in league play. Certainly last 2-3 games or whatever.
Nate Oates is definitely the front runner for Coach of the Year at this point. We're talking with Robbie Weinstein, 247 Sports here on the Morning Rush. Tommy, you could probably speak to this better. Let's go back to 1995. People forget Jerry Stackhouse was on that North Carolina team with Rasheed Wallace that Arkansas beat in the national semifinal, in the Final Four. We spoke to Scottie Pippen earlier. What's covering one of the best college players at North Carolina? What's covering him been like here at Vanderbilt?
I love it because I also covered Bryce Drew and I also covered Kevin Stallings. And Bryce Drew, really nice guy for sure. Really seems like a really kind person. But in terms of covering him as a media member, he was not very interesting. He would not criticize his players basically at all. In press conferences, even if they really didn't play well or didn't play hard. Whereas Stackhouse just says whatever comes to his mind at any time. So you can ask him a question and be pretty confident that you're going to get a straight answer, which is not really the case with certainly a lot of football coaches, and I think even a lot of basketball coaches as well. So he's really entertaining to cover. I think the team hasn't been good. At some point, like when they're just losing basically every game in the SEC, it gets a little bit monotonous. I don't care whether they win or lose individual games, but it's fun to cover a competitive team. I do think Stackhouse, I actually think he's a good coach. This was kind of a smoldering crater of a program when he got here.
Yeah.
And you can kind of watch them play offense, and I think they're a pretty well-coached team. Recruiting is a little bit of a question because they still don't really have a center that is particularly productive, and they've needed to address that for a while. And then defensively, I don't really have that many questions about his coaching ability on that end, but they haven't really shown it. I mean, they haven't been a good defensive team so far, so I don't know if that's personnel or if that's him or what. But he's pretty interesting. I mean, he's a funny guy. He's really sharp, and he'll go at the media a little bit sometimes if they rub him the wrong way. He can bite some people's heads off, but I think he's a pretty nice guy, and he's definitely entertaining to cover.
And Tommy, you have a unique opportunity here. I don't know if we've ever had a friend of mine that's on this program, and you basically have
there's only like 3 we can invite.
There's not a lot. This is a no holds bar. I think I'm using that term correctly. Opportunity for you that we've asked Robbie pretty much sports content questions to this point. You can basically ask him anything about me, and it's on air. It's public, so it could be as embarrassing as you want.
I know where all of Ty's skeletons are buried.
Yes. And it's wide open if you want to do it.
So It's almost like you're asking to be hit over the head with the hammer.
Well, you do it repeatedly on a monthly or weekly basis, so I just figured you'd take advantage of this opportunity.
Clay, I think Clay's going to be chomping at the bit.
Clay just said, "What do you know?" I asked if
Clay has raised his hand here for this conversation.
Clay now wants to hop in on this. Our buddy Clay Henry. Clay, go ahead, man.
Well, we don't really understand why Ty suddenly wants to take a road trip. Is there a female involved in this trip?
That'd be the long shot.
There actually is.
I knew it.
Yeah,
I knew it.
Yeah.
Let's spill the beans.
The last time Ty was here,
we're going to be out of time.
Ty had no interest in going to Baton Rouge. He had no interest in going to Tuscaloosa. He had no interest in,
and this is a monumental game,
right,
Arkansas Vanderbilt.
Has he asked me if he could go to Rupp Arena in the second half?
No.
It's a pivotal point in the season.
There's this weekend in January. Arkansas is playing at Vanderbilt. I'd like to go cover the game.
Well, the last time Ty was here, I think it was in June or July, something along those lines. It was over the summer. We were all like, "Oh, Ty's coming in town. Okay, all right." COVID, so maybe we'll be a little bit limited in what we can do. I don't even remember if the bars downtown were open, but
lock up the seltzers and the shampoo. Ty's coming.
Right. So we were excited to see him, right? And he shows up. We saw him for a few hours, and then didn't see him the rest of the trip because he was chasing this girl.
Whoa!
Yeah, and then
just like that, we're out of time.
No, brother.
I woke up on Sunday after not having seen Ty for like 2 days or whatever, and he threw an Egg McMuffin in my face while I was laying in bed asleep, and that was how the rude awakening of
that's his way of saying thank you.
That's how I knew that Ty was finally back. He had resurfaced after a long weekend of alley.
All right.
You can send pictures. We will pay for the pictures. Yeah. We will send you gift cards.
And
the thing is, I don't have the pictures because Ty deserted me.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking for this trip. Yeah.
Oh, this trip.
And like that, we suddenly have to go to break all of a sudden. We're going to take our first break here of the program.
So tell us about this girl you're chasing.
Don't really have a lot of content prep for that, so we're gonna move on from this. Robbie, appreciate it, man. I think this is probably gonna set the tone for the rest of the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate it, buddy. So a little insight to what's going on this weekend.